This is Stars with Magic, where you can talk about the stars. Wait, what? Where we talk about the stars with magic. I'm still waking up, okay? So, today, this morning, I wanted to come on and discuss something that really has made me think like, why is this? I kind of have an idea of why, but I wanted to talk about essentially why Christians are afraid of astrology, okay? Now, the thing is, I know that there is a scripture that says, basically, kind of indicating that divination is is not good, right? It is evil, or it's wicked, right? Because essentially what you're trying to do is you're a lot of the time what diviners do is they go to spirits and they ask them, what's going to happen, like mediums and psychics and stuff like that. Okay, but not every astrologer is a psychic, claims to be a psychic, right? And when you really think about it, it's like there are a variety of ways that you could look at a lot of the same spiritual practices. Like, for example, um, in the occult, you would call being a psychic, being a prophet. You know what I mean? And this is the thing, though. They're totally different realms, though. They are coming from totally different realms. I won't say that they're not. What I'm really trying to get at is the stars are a creation of the Most High, okay? Um, it's a part of nature, it's a part of our universe, okay? These are not spirits, these are not beings or things that talk to us. Yes, we can receive energy and translate that and understand it if we have the mind for that, but we don't, as an astrologer, I don't speak to spirits, and I don't use the help of spirits. I don't use tarot cards and all that kind of stuff, okay? When you really think about the use of stars in the Bible, there are actually so many different points where they refer to, stars as like an angel or something like that. But even when the wise men, see, a lot of people don't really talk about this or even think about this, but who were those wise men that brought blessings following a star? Like, literally, according to the story, or according to the scripture, these men traveled from another country, I want to say, simply following a star. Nobody told them like, oh, something's happening over in this other country, go there and go talk to them. Like, maybe it was an angel, right? But it wasn't a person. Like, nobody went and told them to go do that, okay? And they followed a star. When you think about it, it's like, if you believe in God and if you believe in the scriptures, God could have done it anyway. He could have had a prophet go and get them. You know what I'm saying? But they followed a star, okay? And they brought blessings. Obviously, they were not against the Christ, right? And and the thing is, it's kind of like there are so many different ways to look at astrology, okay? And most of it has nothing to do with telling the future, okay? A majority of the time when I look to astrology, when I go to read somebody's chart or something like that, none of it has to do with what's going to happen in the future. Like, I see things in the chart that might let me know, like, oh, okay, yep, they were saying that they deal with this. And a lot of the time people will do things and they're like, I don't know why I do that. They're like, my personality, I'm just like that, But it's just like there's a reason for everything, as a single child, I felt like, or as an only child, I felt on multiple occasions like it was difficult for me to understand people and to really be able to deal with them. I felt kind of Like I didn't really have many social skills. And so I did find astrology because I wanted to learn more about what might be out there, And I learned about birth charts and all that stuff, and I started to read my placements, started to read other people's placements, and there were just so many connections, so many things that I was like, wow, it's all right here. And it really can help you deal with the people in your life. For example, my mom. She's very messy, she's very unorganized, she's very forgetful, very it's like she lives in a fantasy world, okay? If you look at her chart, you see that she has Moon, Mercury, and Venus in Pisces. Okay, so this creates this tremendous struggle for people who are a lot more realistic and a lot more hardened or just serious to deal with her, because she's so like I'm not making fun of her, I'm just kind of like describing her energy. Very, very playful, very like just like not aware of reality, just not thinking about wealth, not thinking about savings, not thinking about a future, not thinking about money. um there are certain it's interesting because there was this married couple that I watched some of their videos because they talk about relationships and a variety of subjects. And I um I was watching their video and they were discussing astrology and how they really don't how they're really not into it, but the man is a Pisces and the wife is a Libra, and they're like, supposedly we're not supposed to be very compatible, but here we are married, blah blah blah, and that's why you shouldn't be looking too hard into that stuff. And if you look too hard into astrology, you're gonna stay single forever. And it's just like, first of all, first of all, slow down, okay? Slow down, because if you really don't even know very much about astrology and you're so scared to even touch the subject, these are the stars, okay? Like this is the sky, okay? And so for people, Christians, who are like really scared about even talking about the subject, it's like, do you really have that little faith that God's going to protect you from astrology if you are that worried about it? Like, it just, I feel a little bit hurt because I know the truth. I know that astrology really doesn't have much to do with knowing what's going to happen 5 years from now, like knowing the day you're going to die. Like, astrology is not going to show you that. Astrology is not going to show you who your husband is. When you get married, more than likely you will see certain things, because I want to say I've only seen married couples actually get married when they have certain placements, okay? Like any married couple that I look at their chart, their synastry report, I guarantee you I see certain things, okay? Um but just because you have those placements with a particular individual doesn't mean that they are the one, okay? So it's kind of like, a lot of people do try to use astrology to tell the future. A lot of people do try to use astrology to, you know, figure out who your future husband is. And it's like, astrology is a tool. How you use it defines whether if it's evil or not. A lot of the time there are things in life, in the spiritual realm, there are certain practices, there are certain things that you do, um, you know, like, okay, for example, we'll go a little bit deep, right? Even in Christianity, in the Bible, in the Old Testament, they sacrificed, okay? They sacrificed animals. And of course, on the other side of things, you know, witchcraft and stuff, they have like sacrifices as well. So I'm saying the act of sacrifice is something that both sides It's familiar to both sides, okay? So it's like what you're using it for. Now, I don't sacrifice, okay? I don't sacrifice anything other than, my personal will, right? My willpower, what I decide to do. But astrology really is not a form of divination. When you look up the term divination, at least on Google, it'll give you the definition of, seeking the knowledge of the unknown or the future by spiritual or supernatural means. And you really don't use astrology to find out the unknown or the future. Yes, of course, when you look at aspects that are going to be in place in the future, you might get a sense of things that could happen. For example, when you're going through some sort of a moon square Uranus transit, let's say you're going through something like that. Now, something like that will let you know, like, okay, some things might happen. You might have some accidents. There might be some situations where people who are living with you move out or leave you, or relationships might end. You might break off a friendship. You might break off a relationship. Is that really telling you what is going to happen? No. It's kind of showing you what energies are going to be at play. It lets you know kind of like a season that you're going to go through, okay? Because a lot of these planetary things don't change daily. Every single planet has their own orbit, transit, schedule, whatever. And so, it's really interesting because it's like when you hear people talk about astrology, especially Christians, they really do get very scared. And it's like they're like terrified to even look up anything having to do with it. And it's like, if you want to talk about it, they're like, no, I don't want to talk about it. And it's just like, that lets me know a lot about how you see God. That lets me know a lot about how you see your relationship with God. Because it's like, there's a scripture that says, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. Okay? And a lot of the time, when I've looked at other people's chart and I would read their birth chart to them or explain certain things, they're like, oh my God, how did that, it says that? And then you're like, yeah, this is an aspect that is usually, associated with X, Y, and Z. They're like, wow. They're like, yeah, that's crazy. Their mind is like blown. Okay. That lets you know that there's truth. Okay. It lets you know that there's truth. You test it by aligning it with reality and see if reality correlates or confirms it. Okay. Now, I wouldn't have been studying astrology for 13 years if I didn't feel like it was worthwhile. If I didn't feel like it was a tool that actually helped me understand people, okay? A lot of the time people will do stuff and you're like, why do you do that? Why do you do that? Why are you so stubborn? Why do you always need all this attention? Why can't you stop talking when we start talking about X, Y, and Z, There are a lot of times where I've been dealing with a family member and I knew their placements, right? And it really helped me really deal with them. It really helped me kind of reach them on their level. It helped me speak their language, okay? A lot of the reason why I use astrology is for other people. I use astrology to help me deal with other people. I use astrology to help me understand and resolve conflict easier. I remember there was a meme that I saw online and it said, if you want a peaceful relationship, date somebody who knows astrology, And I'm not saying that, that's 100% true, because you can know all about astrology and not be a peaceful person. But when you really do, have a good head on your shoulders, astrology will only help you. You can use astrology for good. Some people might use astrology for evil, right? They might have a well, I would say a friend, but it's like if you have negative intentions towards someone, they're really not your friend. But let's just say you have an acquaintance and you know their birth chart, or let's say somebody knows an acquaintance's birth chart and they have negative intentions or ill intentions towards them. They might use the knowledge of their placements to manipulate that person, to use that person to see what they can get from that person. Um, yeah, it's information that anybody could use for anything. Um, yeah, it really is a lot of math when you think about it. It's somewhat scientific. I want to say they call it a pseudoscience, like psychology. But the thing is, it's kind of like if you never at least explore it or at least test it, how do you know if it's not true or real? You know what I mean? And don't think that there are all these spirits attached to oh, okay. Let me also say this. When it comes to people trying to when they say, if you keep looking into that stuff, you're going to stay single forever. This is the thing. If you are somebody who likes to use astrology to help you in your relationships, if you are the type of person to use astrology to find out if the person that you like is your future husband or wife or partner, please don't do that. You're really just going to hurt yourself. Okay, you're really just going to set yourself up for disappointment if you do that. I'm not saying to not look up the chart of the person you like. Do that. You know what I mean? Do that. It might help you connect with them it might help you understand them a little better. But don't, don't assume that because you have like a moon conjunct Saturn or a Mars conjunct Saturn, or, there's like, you meet people all the time, and whether or not you look up the chart, you have a variety of aspects with each person that you meet. You can have 5 different crushes and have all different types of really fascinating placements with each and every one of them, but it doesn't mean that any of them are your future partner. So it's like, please don't use astrology to do that, because not only are you going to disappoint yourself, but you're going to be looking into things too deeply. You're going to more than likely obsess. You're more than likely going to find yourself in a place where, especially if you don't start dating this person, you're going to go through a season of disappointment that, it's like you build up this expectation, you build up these hopes, you build up these desires, and you disappoint yourself because you looked so heavily into it and you allowed yourself to believe, um, I've had a variety of connections with people where we did have strong Saturn placements, and I thought I was going to be in a relationship with these people, but they were very immature. They were very selfish. They were not the types to be loyal. This is why if you are looking at astrology to understand your romantic relationship, or, really look at the compatibility between your partner, because see, what will happen as well is you'll be having issues with a person. You'll be wondering why you get so jealous when they talk to other people. You know, usually you're not a jealous type, but for some reason, this person, when they talk to other people, you just get really jealous, um, or maybe, you know, you guys have a connection that you don't have with most people, where you just love spending time with each other. You just have no issues with the other person and what they like. Um, you know, there are placements that will manifest in different ways between the two. The thing is, I feel like people, when they look at astrology, they think that astrologers and people who look at astrology form their lives around, you know, make decisions based off of astrology. And yes, some people do. Sometimes you do. There are certain, there, like anything that you see in real life, anything that you see happening in real life, you will see it in the chart, okay? And I'm going to make this last point, okay? I was in a relationship with someone who is very, very toxic. Very toxic. To this day, they are very toxic. No matter how I try to reason with them, and mind you, I've tried for a very long time to get this person to not only see my perspective, but to change their behavior, change the behaviors that are toxic to me. And, you know, that put a lot of pressure, a lot of negativity onto me. And I try to, you know, I've tried to resolve it, try to work with this person, but it really is impossible. And he and I have had some major issues, some major catastrophic situations happening because of our arguments and fights and stuff. And when I look at the synastry report between he and I, we have so many red flags. Okay, there's so many things in my chart with him that really it directly aligns with my experience with this person. So it's like a lot of the time I do encourage people to look at the synastry report, because you might have been seeing red flags in life, but there might have been like a lack of clarity, right? There might have been some things, you know, maybe this person has never acted this way with anyone else before, so you're just kind of like, why is this happening? Or there's so many different reasons why you should look at astrology and look into astrology, because um it'll give you answers to things you always kind of wondered a little bit about. And I feel like a lot of people, when they live their lives without astrology, they have no idea how many answers there are there. You know, I feel like your life really does become complete. Not saying that astrology is God or anything like that, but I'm saying your understanding of people, your understanding about life and how everything is connected. Astrology really does, it really is a powerful tool that can really help you in life. So with all that being said, I'm not sure the beginning of this video was a little bit of a rocky start, and I know I probably left some things out, some things that I really wanted to mention, but either way, the conclusion of this video is that astrology is really not a form of divination. People could try to use it for that if they wanted to. Would they really be successful though? It depends. It really depends on if what they say actually comes about. You know what I mean? If they actually are tapped into the spiritual realm, you know, are they really, do they have real knowledge, or are they just using astrology to do stuff? You know, are they using astrology to try to make money? Because a lot of people do try to use these different forms of divination to make money. Personally, I've been studying this subject for 13 years, and I just created this channel like last year. So and the reason why I did that was because I don't want to go around trying to teach people stuff if I don't have a full grasp on astrology and how it has not only worked in my life or not worked, and having actual knowledge so that I can correctly communicate what I know. and what I see in the stars. Okay. With all that being said, if you yourself have been afraid of astrology, you might not even have gotten to this point of the video, but if you have, cool, you know. Maybe look up your birth chart, you know. I'll try to remember, because sometimes I forget, to go to the description of this video and leave a link for you in case you want to look up your birth chart for free. You don't need a email or a address or your real name or anything like that. All you need, and this is what's so interesting about astrology as well. All you need is your birth city, your birth date, you know, the month, day, and year. And that's it. That's all you need. Also, maybe the birth time if you want like a whole picture. But with all that being said, the way that I usually describe natal charts and astrology to new people who are interested is every planet has its own orbit. It has its own schedule and calendar, as I said, or not calendar, but you know what I'm saying. It has its own way of doing things. And they were all located in their own constellation, you know, on the day and time that you were born. And it some people say that it's a map, and yes, I used to say that it's a map, but it really is more like an ingredient list. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you have this, this, and this. What type of dish does this create? What type of personality does this create in whole? Because a map is like a destination, right? You have a destination and you're trying to make it there. That's what a map is. And yes, it is kind of like a map, geographic map of where all the planets were, but I guess it is kind of like a map. Whatever. You can see it in a variety of ways. Okay. This was Stars with Magic, where we talk about the stars with magic. I'm Magic. Please do like the video, leave a comment, subscribe, and yeah, definitely let me know what you think. And I'll see you in the next one. Okay.